Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, men and women, and whoever, are watching the show, welcome back to another episode of For the Most Part podcast. We have with us in the room this afternoon Miss Louise Clarke.
Hey.
I got it right this time.
Yes, you got it right.
And our tech man, Mr. Owen James, is
Mr.
behind
Owen
the scenes
James.
this week.
Yeah.
But I can't hear him, but that's alright.
Yes.
So this week's episode is more of a laid back and more of a conversation around samples. Right? Louise and I we've had some interesting discussion over the last, how long was that? 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah, 2 or 3 weeks. Both with each other and with
other people about samples.
Yeah.
And basically trying to find out why people sample and what was the other question you had out there?
And why particular samples seem to be like a staple, because there's some samples that come back up over and over and over again through the years.
So we want to start with what is a sample and trying to define that. And according to Wikipedia, now don't judge me for using Wikipedia as the source, but we're just using it as a reference for a definition.
And
it means go ahead.
I'd also like to point out that I like the Wikipedia definition because it is in fact an accurate definition. If we use our knowledge as musicians, does the definition
will change? Yeah. It will kind of modify itself.
Yeah, but this definition that we have is pretty accurate.
Yeah. All right. So according to Wikipedia, it says in music, sampling is the act of taking a portion or a sample of one sound recording and reusing it as an instrument or element of a new recording.
Yes. So that could include things like a riff. It could include lyrics, even if you do not sing the lyrics as they are in the original.
No, yeah.
It can like a bass line.
Yeah.
A particular type of strum. That sort of thing.
Yeah. And a good example, I don't know if people... Donna Summer, Beyonce, Love to Love You is a perfect example.
Yes.
Of taking the lyrics of the original and putting it on. I love to love you, baby.
Yep.
Right. That's that's an example of a sample.
Yes, that is an example of a
For all those youths who didn't know, the original was by Miss Donna Summer.
Yes, it was.
So, in addition to that, Wikipedia also says when an element from one song is replayed or resung in another. So Drake would have done it was Drake who did Mariah Carey My All? Yes, it was Drake, I believe.
Was it?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, he took a little piece of the My All intro and then he had the rest of the song
Yes. So sometimes it's like a direct pulling of the original, and then sometimes it's like a remake.
A remake, yeah.
But it is still a sample.
Right?
It's still a sample.
And so we have some questions. To what extent is a sample? So some of the things that we will be looking at is some song repeat the lyrics. Even if it's not sung, does it count as a sample?
I think it does.
You think it does?
Yes.
Okay.
Because especially if you are borrowing the lyrics rhythmically, it's definitely a sample.
Right.
Yeah.
An example that I'm seeing here, Foodie's Ready or Not.
Yes.
It has 2 samples in it.
Yes.
Yes, Delphonics. Yes.
Yes. So the Delphonics sang a song, Ready or Not, Here I Come. Yeah. So Lauryn Hill basically sang it word for word. And the that is actually a song from Enya.
Right.
Enya is this, I think she's Irish.
We could Google it and include it into the video.
Yeah, but she's one of those not English. She's European. Yes, let's go with European. I'm sorry, I don't know, but yeah, she's European.
Mm-hmm.
She sang "Sail Away, Sail Away, Sail Away."
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yes.
So now we're looking at. I have some samples here on our new little toy.
Yes, guys, we got a pod track and it's so beautiful.
It's one of the coolest things that we've expanded on. Thanks to the private sponsor for making this happen.
Yes,
we appreciate it.
Yes, we appreciate it.
And none of the stuff that we get go to waste.
No.
So,
not
Mr.
at
Roger
all.
Baptiste, your stuff gonna be used. Don't worry.
Yes.
We have something big that's gonna be happening very, very soon, based off of this very topic. So, look out for that.
Yes. Look out for
Now, one of the things, me and Louise, we were talking, and I mentioned to her cameo candy.
Tastes like
Candy, right? So I'm gonna play a little bit of that track for you all to hear, and we're gonna then kind of get into some of the artists who would have sampled the song, right? So there we go. So what am I gonna do? Lover boy, come on and I'm thinking you know touch me. So if you all don't know who that is, problems. Dum, 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 dum. Right, so I'm gonna stop the sample now. We need to.
Yes. So we can stop dancing.
Right. So the first sample that was that utilized cameos candy was Mariah Carey.
Yes, she was one of
the few.
Yes.
And I was the Lover Boy off of the Glitter
album,
which anniversary is next week or
September
something.
11th was the worldwide release.
Right, but we'll get back to that a little later on. So Louise had asked me a question earlier. Why is that? What was it? Why is
this particular bassline so addictive? Because I'm sure anyone listening knows at least one other song from
right
any other genre of music that has used this sample, even if it's only the bum 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 bum. Yeah, even if it's only that part.
Right,
Yeah.
right. So I think at the time in the 80s, and it was I think 1984 when the song was released, one of the things that made most of these bass lines, and I could pull another one, I don't have it on the pod track, but I'll sing it for you all.
Yes.
Is that the punchiness of the bass? I think it was it's meant to get you moving.
Yes.
Bum 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 bum.
It is.
Bum 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 bum. Dun
Exactly.
dun dun. Even
Exactly.
the cameraman behind the scenes.
Yes, tech man is
taking in the track too.
Yes. In fact, I'm sure you've watched the music video.
Yes.
It's basically dancing.
It's basically dancing.
Everybody's just dancing.
Yeah. And so one of the other songs that I think has a very good punchy bass line is Illusion by Imagination.
Yeah.
And another sample of that song is
Yeah.
Get Your Number by Mariah featuring Jermaine Dupri. I don't think we have the rights to play that song.
No.
We can hyperlink the videos in
Yes.
a description after, but
Yes.
we'll fix you all up so you all can hear what we're talking about.
Yes.
So Louise actually brought one to me, and I was like, I didn't realize this.
What is that?
The Winstons, Amen, brother.
Yes.
So we're gonna play the first.
Yeah.
first
So
one?
let's play the original drum sample.
Okay.
I know everybody's heard of it.
All right. Right.
Right. So I'm sure everyone, not everyone, but I'm sure many of you have heard a very similar pattern or identical pattern in different
Songs and
different songs.
yeah.
Now the thing is, this song is actually originally from 1969. It's called Amen Brother by the Winstons. There's a very iconic drum solo in this song. I wasn't able to get a sample of it, but I wanted to use this sample as an example of pretty much all of 80s and 90s hip hop.
Yeah.
So give us that beat but slower.
DJ. Right. right?
So if you're a fan of Tupac, Salt and Pepper, if you remember the days of Warren G, rest in peace Warren G. I'm sure you'll know that beat from a lot of hip hop from that era. It was now obviously producers who used it, they would have added like their own chords,
their flavor.
But that drum beat has how because the original was 1969, and I think even if we were to Google that sample for like maybe the last 4 or 5 years, I'm sure someone else has used it at some point.
I agree.
Yeah, and because it's a drum loop,
does it count as a sample?
Well, yes, I would say it does, because it's a specific type of drum loop,
right?
But we also need to remember that, yes, it's a sample, but some elements will always be more sampled than others. I think it's safe to say that drum loops are probably the most sampled thing.
Yeah, that I can agree on.
Yes.
That I can agree on.
With the works of Isaac Hayes as a close second.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, drum loops are probably the most heavily sampled things.
Right. Okay, that's a fair point.
Yes.
Probably. On the topic of glitter, which again we said the anniversary for that is next week or week after.
The 11th of September.
Yes, the 11th of September. That album. Now we're not really talking about it this week, but there's some songs on that album. Within actually like maybe track 3. Well, 1, 3, 4, 5, and 6. 6 are all samples.
Give us some names.
Don't Stop Funkin' for Jamaica is one that's by the Tom Brown Band, to which she redid and did her own spin on that. I didn't mean to turn you on that. I think that was either Sherelle. That's Sherelle. I will get the name and put the link in the description below. And then there's Last Night a DJ Saved My Life. Ding, 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 ding. That's Indie.
Yes.
And then Loverboy, Candy.
Yes.
So and there's 2 versions of Loverboy on the album. So the question now is, where does something begin and end? In this case, I would say some of those songs may not be sampling, but they may have been covers.
Which
ones?
Song are you using as an example of
a cover? Last Night a DJ Saved My Life, and maybe I Didn't Mean to Turn You On. Those are probably the only 2, because I think the entire song was just remade.
So it's basically a cover.
I think it's
the original sample.
Yeah.
Well, then maybe we could point out that you can cover a song without using a sample, or you can use the sample from the original and do a cover on top of it.
Yeah.
But it still counts as a sample in itself, because it's being used.
Yes. And the Tom Brown Band Don't Stop Funkin' for Jamaica is a sample, because she redid the entire. She had her own. Don't stop, it's a stop. So she had her own thing. I feel it, all I want. I'll sing it high. Jamaican funk. That's what it was, right? So that part is where she kept the beat and just sampled the last part of it. And I think she's one of the few artists that I could comfortably say that actually pays a good homage to most of those.
Well, given when she first became popular, I want to say that she would have grown up
in that
hearing that type of music.
Yes.
And in fact, I think a lot of those samples borrowed from the 60s and 70s, I'm speculating, I think that artists use them because, they have some sort of emotional or sentimental value.
Yep.
So it may not always be a producer hears it and is like, hey, that would make our best sample.
Best loop.
That would be our best sample to use. No, I think maybe some artists, before they even conceptualize a song, they think they may think of at least one sample and say, yeah, I want to use that.
Right.
I want to use that someday.
Right.
I think it could be something like that.
Right.
Yeah.
And a very, very popular version, a popular sample rather, that most people would know. Ding, 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 ding. If you all could name that sample, I'll just name the original. The original is by Stevie Wonder, Pastime's Paradise. I give away a whole hint there.
Yes.
And to me, when I actually first heard that song, I didn't know that it was a sample. I actually thought Gangsta's Paradise was the original. And I gave away the answer, but yes, it's Gangsta's Paradise.
Gangsta's Paradise by Coolio,
By Coolio.
featuring L.L.I.
Yeah.
From my research, I understand that Coolio had to get permission with the understanding that he would not use any cursing of
On the
any
song,
kind.
yeah.
And that is why you will notice there is no profanity in that song.
None
At all.
whatsoever. Yeah.
I think there are artists who use samples very artfully.
And
there's some who just don't. But we're not really here to drag anybody.
But it's really,
I think Coolio's Gangsta's Paradise is an example of that artful use.
Yeah.
Especially like in the original, in
Mhm.
Pastime Paradise, the strings are not quite as
Prominent.
yeah, but
It's
like,
more of a synth.
yes, but Gangsta's Paradise attempts to really give it more like of a full orchestral
Yeah.
sound,
Yeah.
and the strings dun, dun, they have more of an attack.
And it's probably to represent the feelings of whatever he was going through and the
Yes,
lifestyle.
yes.
Gangsta's Paradise. As I walk through
Yeah.
the valley, and I'll stop there because we might get copyright.
Yes, that is possible. Remember, that song is basically about living your entire life on the streets, a life of crime.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
and he's talking about, will I survive? I
Yeah.
think one of the lines is, will I live to see 24? The way
Yeah.
things are going, I don't know.
Yeah.
And then the added gospel choir in the background as well.
kind of just adds the whole.
Yes, and so even though the original has those similar lines, but redoing those lines really, I think, makes it a work of art in itself.
Right.
Outside of, oh yeah, I used a Stevie Wonder sample. No,
Right.
it was this lovely piece of artwork
Right.
includes a sample.
Sample. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I could see that too. For me and my research, people know me and know that I could tell you who did the original.
Mm-hmm.
Am I lying?
No.
Am I lying, Owen?
Wow, you should have seen his hand.
Yeah. One of the most, I think, popular samples, and I just kind of sidestepping from the list that we have.
Of course.
Dilemma by Nelly and Kelly. No, man. Yes, that is a Patti LaBelle song.
That is, yes.
I sat down and I'm like, okay.
Hear that. That sample is everywhere. Like,
Everywhere.
yeah.
Everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so,
That piece of-
to me, that just kind of goes to show how timeless the originals are.
Yes.
It kind of leaves a very important mark in the music business, and in some ways,
Mm-hmm.
it kind of says, well, this is powerful enough to be kept being reused.
Yes.
Yeah.
Either that, or sometimes a sample speaks directly to the subject matter of the song.
Yeah.
The example I'm coming with is Mary J. Blige, No More Drama.
Yeah.
Miss Lady had the theme from Young and the Restless. Like,
Perfect. Very relatable. Very
Yeah.
real. Very.
very.
It told the story that
very
she wanted to.
relatable.
Yeah.
Exactly. Because Young and Restless was full of drama. There was always that one woman teething everybody, man. Yeah. No, but it fits.
It fits,
It
and
fits.
especially if you grew up in the 90s and early 80s, that's what's exactly what was happening.
Exactly.
So yeah.
Exactly.
So I want to just say before Mr. Techman, give me a time check there. If you just want to know if we could talk some more. Very nice.
All right, cool.
So, just before we start to wrap this episode, there was one more sample that we wanted to talk about, but I'm saving it for last. So the plan with talking about samples is not really to kind of like make out the artist. That's not what we're here to do.
No.
One of the things and one of the themes of the show has always been discovering music and understanding that your foundation basically kind of shapes everything about you, and especially as we were saying earlier, if you grew up in the 80s,
yes,
and you grew up in the 70s,
yes,
you're gonna be that's what your influence will be.
Yes.
So we are hoping to have two very, very special guests, hopefully very, very soon, and to which they will actually give us a taste of what it was like to be DJing in that time.
Yes.
With those kinds of tracks. We'll see how best we could get, get them all set up with the gear and stuff.
Yes.
So last sample that we want to talk about, and I think everybody knows this song. Oh, Bonnie and Clyde.
Yes.
Now, wasn't there oh yes, no, I seen the notes after. There was an issue with one of the other samples. Time after time, but we'll go back to the first one. Take on me. If you don't know that song,
yes,
you need to put on some more headphones.
Yes,
quite literally. So
Destra would have borrowed only the melody. No aspect of like the beat, the instrumentation. She would have only borrowed the melody for this sample.
Yeah.
I think it's important to differentiate if someone borrows like an entire like beat pattern or instruments, and if it's just song. Now the thing about this sample is she took the sample and made it her own.
Yeah.
You know?
We jump in.
Yeah. You're my queen, I'm your king. Nope, my darling. So I accidentally said, "You're my queen, I'm your king." It was supposed to be the other way around.
We understand
the point.
Yeah, we understand. Yeah, no worries.
Yes.
You had a question here. Why? Oh, it worked well as a power soaker.
Yes, I think it worked very well as a power soaker because the melody is very easy to sing.
Yeah.
And the lyrical structure is also, it just makes it easy.
I think the chords also kind of shape most of that too. It makes it very easy to just listen to.
Yes.
I'm sure if I were to pull it up now, we are gonna just sit on here and waving flag and whatever. You know,
exactly.
it gives off that kind of energy. Now.
Yes.
You all won't hear Mr. Techman. One day we'll put him on the live. One day.
Yeah.
The last sample before we wrap this episode.
Yes.
Destra. Time After Time.
Yes.
Cindy Lauper.
Seasons come and seasons go, but none of will last. Da 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 da. Everybody take a jump up now. Start a wave up now. Start a wine
Okay.
up now because
the quorum.
So that is borrowed from the absolutely amazing Cindy Lauper. And again, we were talking about the eras that people grew up in. I think Destra must have. I don't remember her age, but she didn't grow up in that time.
I wouldn't doubt. And I wouldn't doubt too that the producers or the collaborative people that you would have worked with probably had. And I'm not saying anything like to bash anybody, but your influences. If you all grew up on that time, as you say, they probably say, well, what if we do a sample on this? See if we get the permissions and whatever. You know what I mean?
So, I don't think you need permissions. Do you need permissions if you re-sing a melody but you use different words?
That's a good question.
Because I feel like half of 80s dancehall,
everybody has the same.
Everybody is just
same melody.
Same. I've seen enough dance before. Better not say dance like this. That's borrowed from Brian McKnight. That's Elephant Man for those of you who might be Younger than I am. Yeah. But generally in the Caribbean, we have a way of occasionally borrowing like a melody line
or two,
and putting our own words to it. Yeah.
But what we could do is we could save that one
Yes.
for the next episode.
Because we do want to explore samples from now. Today was just a real laid back kind of
conversation.
Yeah.
Just chill, demonstrating the new gear and
Yes.
probably the new formatting for the podcast.
Yes. Y'all, we're very excited about this gear because for the past 2 seasons we've had to survive on, so this new gear it's really it means a lot to us
and stepping up the game in terms of putting out more content for you guys to enjoy.
Putting out quality content.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Of course, if you want to donate, check the description.
Yeah, always. All the information is there. So, ladies and gents, thank you so much for watching. Please do not hesitate to support this podcast, as Louise said. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, to the everything. Everything is on the website. Like, you really can't miss anything.
Yep, that's right.
You can just click through onto. Oh, Mr. Cameraman was telling me I need to look in the next camera. So we need to. You just need to go on the website. Everything you need to know about who we are, what to do, how to help, is on the website.
Yes.
And we will see you, and we will be hearing from you in the next one. Peace.